Guys, welcome back to the third...
No.
We're not doing this again. Welcome back to the third episode of the Uncorked podcast, where we talk about the highs and lows of building a business, where we talk about building brands, and lastly, where we talk about working with each other without killing ourselves. Each other.
Literally fired.
So, with that being said, episode 3, we're going to be talking about the benefits of working together. And why I want to start here today is last time we talked about, I forgot what we talked about. Fuck.
We talked about goal setting.
Okay, let's do this again. Hold on.
As a couple.
Okay, hold on. Let's restart this. Let's not do too much banter in the beginning.
You're the only one bantering.
You're the one making fun of me, bro.
You messed up yourself.
Okay, ready? Let's do this again. 3.
Oh, we're doing the full
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to...
Why did you
Why?
make that face?
Why?
Why did
Okay.
you make that face?
Okay, because this is whiskey, bro. It's not easy
No
to
one's
drink.
asking you to
All right,
chug
let's
it.
do this again.
Okay. Almost broke my glass. Oh.
Okay. Let's try it one more time. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Uncorked podcast, where we talk about the highs and lows of running a business, where we talk about building brands, and lastly, we talk about how we work together without killing each of us. So, with that being said, today's episode, we're going to be talking about the benefits of working together. Last episode, we talked about goal setting and future planning. So I think it just makes sense to talk about just the benefits of working together. So to jump into this, what are those benefits of working together? I'd love to hear just personally and professionally.
It's fun.
Fun. That's a good way to start. It's fun. But I know we talked about trust and communication. I'd love to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, so I would say there are a lot of highs for sure. Trust and communication is huge in any business partnership and personal partnerships too, right? Like arguably you're the person that you're supposed to trust the most. Is your significant other. So I think that makes it really easy to be able to confide in you about professional things that aren't going well in the business, things that we want to try to achieve, but we haven't really figured out. So I think that's a huge one for us.
Which makes us jump into that shared vision and goals. I think obviously I've had partnerships in the past and I've realized that, hey, our visions, although yes, we want to achieve a successful business, like our visions, our goals aren't really aligned. And that's what happens. And when that happens, you notice one person works harder than the other person's a little bit saltier.
You start to resent each other.
And I think because we are dating, because we're a couple and we're in business together, we share those personal goals. We share those business goals. And it just helps us get things done even quicker.
Yeah. I think too, like you said, we share in a lot of the responsibilities. So that kind of leads to a healthier work-life balance. And don't get me wrong, like we have to be mindful of a work-life balance because it's really easy to just get caught up in like one mode or the other. Like, hey, we're just looking at each other in a personal way, or hey, we're only talking professionally. So I think we do have to be more mindful of like when we're on and when we're not. But we're also two very different people when we're in those modes. But I think that kind of work-life balance helps because we can kind of conquer and divide. So, you know, because you also know and respect like my personal life or my work life and vice versa, you know, if I'm having a really busy week, then like you can pick up the slack in our business and vice versa. Yeah. So I think that's like a huge perk for sure.
Yeah, which kind of also goes to just building a stronger relationship.
Totally.
I think with dating is one thing, and obviously we know there's highs and lows of datings. There's even, if you guys think dating is highs and lows, running a business together, there are highs and lows, because same concept is one person always does work harder than the other, but then that other person just balances that person out, because although like in my head I'm like, I work harder than Ange, but if without Ange, like most of the stuff wouldn't have happened. So just that building that relationship, it strengthens it. We get a better appreciation for each other, I think, too. Like, I know what your strengths are, you know what my strengths are. And I think you said it so well with, hey, we know, like, if I had a tough week, you just pick up the slack and you drive through. So strong relationships, I think, is the most important part here.
Yeah.
with that being said, we did talk about highs and lows. So there's super highs, there's really low lows.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear those challenges that you faced while working together. I think it's a cool time to share with people, like, what are those highs or what are those lows that we've just encountered with each other.
So I think, like, Kiefer kind of already touched on it. There is a flip side of the work-life balance. Like, there are times when, and we've both experienced this, like, I'm go. Like, perfect example. Like, I started working at like 7 a.m. today, and I was like, I'm ready. And like, Kiefer worked late the night before, so today it was more of like a slower approach to the day. And, you know, some people would be like, oh, he's just being lazy or whatever. But I think when you're in a relationship and you're working together, like, you also see that person all the time, so you know when they're kind of punching at 110% when you're not, so you know in the long run, like, it always balances out. But I think that it can lead to like tense moments when you're like, okay, why is he not doing anything, or like, why is she not doing anything? And it's like, no, they're just not doing anything right now, but when they do, like, you know, they're gonna deliver. So I think it really teaches you to be like super mindful and aware of like how the other person's feeling, how they're showing up, and how you're showing up. And I think it can lead to disagreements, and I think that's another low.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think we talk about the low lows are those disagreements, right? And we talk about this all the time, and we use this, and we watched this video once where we're talking about when you're having disagreements with your partner, it's never you versus your partner, right? It's you and your partner versus the problem. And when you start looking at it at that perspective, you start to tackle the problem versus thinking that your partner is the problem. So, and you got to remember, disagreements are inevitable.
They're
like
healthy.
It always happens. Like there's never, I don't know any couple that has never had a disagreement.
And same with business partners.
Exactly.
So it's just amplified when you're both.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think when we tackle problems together and we look at the problem or the challenge as a problem versus one of us, we've noticed that we always are able to accomplish that however it is. Like we'll figure it out and we'll move forward. 100%. And then those times when we don't move forward. So let's talk about stuff like renovating our house. Like whenever we have a disagreement, we don't move forward until we meet a common ground. So and imagine if we didn't do that. Like our house we would spend hundreds of $1,000s on our house.
HomeSense, are you watching?
So, and that's it. If Ange was nonstop, if you were nonstop saying like, I'm going to buy this, and I was like, no, and you still bought it, those disagreements, we would have that conflict.
But I think like we have that in everything. Like even there's stuff that, you know, like you're super passionate about, and I'm like, okay, like let's just like pause and think about it. And, you know, like, even if it gets heated, it's like, let's revisit this conversation. Yeah. And then we can kind of take a moment to realize like, okay, maybe we don't do this at all. And then what can we do? And 9 times out of 10, I found like we always come up with something better. So I feel like even if we don't see eye to eye on things, like we end up coming to a resolution that works out for both of us just as well.
Remember, we're two different people, right? Yeah. So we're not always going to see eye to eye, but it's the fact that we understand each other and we help get to that common ground.
Yeah, and I think like the whole comment around like we're two different people is really unique because it's true. And I think one thing like we try to do, and it can be challenging sometimes, is like we still do maintain our own identities. So it's not just like, you know, the we or the us or the this. Like, don't get me wrong, we're 100% a team. But at the same time, like there are things we do alone. And it's healthy because we do so much together that I feel like the things that we enjoy, like our hobbies or just even like meditation or like restful time, not that either of us meditate, but I don't know where that one came from.
Maybe we should.
But anything we do to unwind, whether it be like going for a run, going for a drive, like watching TV, whatever it is, like we have our individual things. Like for me, like I really enjoy doing stuff around the house, and I enjoy like that creative outlet. I enjoy gardening. I enjoy like the stuff I do with Champagne Ange and cooking. Like I find that really relaxing. Whereas on the flip side, like Kiefer enjoys like getting out, trying new things, playing poker,
going to restaurants, things like that. So it's super cool because I think we do everything together, right? Like, and we have these conversations with couples all the time where they're like, oh, like you guys, how do you guys cope? You work your day jobs, you guys are sitting beside each other, you work, at night you guys are running your business, you guys go to the gym together. When do you guys have that spare time? But I think when we do have those times where we're apart, we just appreciate each other more.
Totally.
Like I'm super, even when you come back from your HomeSense Saturday runs, like you're super excited to tell me about everything you saw there. I'm telling you about my poker games. You have no idea what
we literally
any
talk
hands
about
are.
everything, even if we don't understand.
So yeah, and
Ask
I think
Kiefer if he knows what a rattan chair is.
Yeah, we're not going to go there, but do you guys know what that is? No, okay, I don't think anyone knows what that is, but
he knows what they cost.
But yeah, we do so much together too, and I think it's super cool because we also get to understand, hey, when someone's burning out.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool concept because like for me, we actually work totally different here, and for yourself, you know, like, hey, by 8:39,
don't talk to me.
And I crack that joke all the time. I'm like, oh, you're brain dead after 9. Like,
no,
I can't
like
speak
I literally
to you.
am.
And for me, I run. I'm constantly going,
Yeah.
and I'll go like 7 a.m. to like 10, 11 p.m. Sometimes I'm up at midnight doing crazy stuff. But then there's days where I just need a break.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest part of that is like just listening to your body, understanding when you need that break. We get this from my family all the time. They're like, oh, you work so hard. Come hang out, do this. But for us, like, yo, we enjoy working.
We thrive
like,
off it.
That's something that gives us energy. We just enjoy doing that stuff. But
Yeah.
we also listen to our bodies when, hey, we need a day to just rest and relax.
Yeah.
Like, we need to do that. So
perfect example. Like I try to post on Champagne Ange every day, which is like a massive commitment. And it's something that at times even requires like both of our help to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this past week was just so busy, like so busy working on stuff for the pod, so busy working on stuff around the house for our day jobs. And I didn't post for like 5 days. And in my head, I was like psyching myself out. I'm like, that's so bad. This is this. But we both recognized like our bodies needed a beat. Like we need to focus on some other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it's super important to like be mindful.
Yeah, and also, and even with the not posting thing, it's like, how do we fix that? And that's where we come up with those roles and responsibilities, mm-hmm. right? Where, hey, what are your roles in this business and this brand that we're building? What are mine? Like, yeah. and then we figure that out, and that's where we can help with that not posting, because it's like, hey, you were so occupied doing that. Maybe I should do that so you can stick to doing this.
Yeah, and I feel like this is such a good point to like clear up a misconception that I feel like a lot of people think about us is like, we work together, we're always together, like we're not holding hands, sitting side by side, working, typing on the computer, doing everything together. Like 9 times out of 10, it's like, okay, we sit down in the morning, we have our coffee, and we're like, I'm running this today. These are my priorities. And Kiefer's like, this is my day. And we're like, okay, great, go. Like it's not efficient, like, and that's why people are like, aren't you guys sick of each other? And it's like, no, like half the day I don't even see them and we're in the same place. So it's just about really being like on the same page. And I think that really helps us as well, because we know exactly what the other person is doing and we keep each other accountable. But it's not like we're, riding each other all day long being like, did you do this? Did you do this? Like it's very much together, but like in sync, not obsessively like doing every task together.
So if you had to give advice now, let's say the people that are watching this, you had to give advice to people, to couples that want to work together and ensure that they have a successful working relationship. Mm-hmm. Drop some facts on us right now.
All right, let's hit it. I think a big one is setting clear goals. Like everyone has a different skill set, even in a team. Like you cannot play all spots on the field. So you pick one, you stick with it, and you just kill it. Like that's a big one for me. Mm-hmm. I think another huge one is making sure that you're really open with communication. At the end of the day, like 9 times out of 10, something's gonna go wrong. It always does. And I think the only way to ensure like you're being successful and like your relationship successful is if you're talking. And I think working together and being in a relationship, like you have the potential to have an even stronger personal relationship because you're so in sync in your professional life. Yeah,
and even just defining your communication protocols. So, hey, we're going to connect once a week. So some stuff, like I said, we connect once a week. We have a meeting 1-to-1. We talk about different stuff. if you need support on something, I'll tell you, Slack message me that, right? Send me a message on Slack, tell me what's up, and I'll help you out.
Whereas like I prefer to have in-person conversations or like shoot me an email or text.
Yeah, and then we also have shared notes for our task list. So and it's fun because we have a shared note. Like I can see when you're working, and then it makes me want to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
we're very competitive.
Yeah,
very competitive.
With being competitive, the other side of that is that criticism part.
Yes, this was one honestly that I think we both have come a long way in. And I think that, you know, like obviously we're different people and we receive criticism and we process feelings very differently. Like I feel things more than Kiefer, and I feel like my work I always assume is like an extension of who I am, whereas I feel like Kiefer's very good at separating the two. Like it took me a very long time to be able to separate, this is my boyfriend telling me he doesn't like this, something that I did, versus this is my business partner telling me that like I can do a better job because he knows what I'm capable of. And I feel like that distinguishing like factor is huge and how you process it.
I think the last thing, again, and we talked about this in the last episode, was just celebrating successes.
Yeah.
I think it drives momentum. It gets you guys wired up. Like for us, how we celebrate successes is we go to like nice fancy restaurants. So every time we leave that fancy restaurant, I know I'm driving home and I'm like, I need to succeed in something else because I want to be back here next week.
Yeah.
So it drives that momentum. It gets you guys connected and it just gets you focused for the next thing.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I love the ending of these episodes because I love the recaps. I think those takeaways, if you had to give one or two different takeaways here, what would that be?
I would say the first thing is that it's actually very rewarding to work with your significant other. And I think people that do it 9 times out of 10 really enjoy it, and I think it unlocks like a new level of success potential because you're just truly so in sync if you do it well. That's a huge one for me.
I think for me, I want to really highlight that being open to criticism.
Yeah.
I think working together, sometimes it's super hard to tell your significant other, like, hey, you know what, you're not doing a good job here. And how do you have that conversation, right? And again, having that openness and honesty with each other, I'm able to be like, hey, listen, like you're dropping the ball here. Like I need you to pick up. And same thing, vice versa. Like, Kiefer, what's going on here? What are you doing? So being able to provide that criticism, being able to come with, bring that conversation with a place of love and not hate.
Yeah, it's empathetic always. Like it's never, you know, coming from a negative angle. It's just we're on the same page, same team.
Exactly.
Same team.
So that being said, are you going to do the outro? Or am I doing the outro this time?
This is not going to be our thing. Okay, I'll do the outro. You want to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us for Uncorked. Like, subscribe, share. Send it to someone who might benefit from this. If you know couples in business trying to get into business together, this is for them. Cheers.
We'll see you in the next episode.